What's up, guys? I'm just kidding, guys. It's not that's not the kind of energy I have exactly all the time. So this is just going to be a video just giving you an idea of things that I think are important to know when you first start taking photos and to get your first camera. Things that kind of, I guess, elude you, especially if it's something that becomes a passion and you want to do for a long time and like want to make it a career. I think these are things that are very important to start out with. So let's go with number one. First thing is, I would say don't worry about gear and lenses, things like that. Just get yourself a starter camera, even if it's just a base model T3 or something. It could be any Canon or Nikon, whatever your flavor is, whatever is what you're looking for is most used for that. I would definitely say do your research on it. Kit lens that it comes with is substantial enough to where you can make good photos. You don't even need to necessarily get anything anymore. And if you really just feel like a new lens is really necessary, any crop sensor full frame, a 50mm is probably one of the best fixed focal length lenses that you could possibly want. On to number two. Number two for me is going to be that you make friends that enjoy doing photo shoots or just going out and just shooting in general, just having a good time with it. It's just like another hangout thing, kind of like, you know, people have certain hobbies like going out to play board games or go out to like arcade or you know, watching movies together, something like that. Some people just enjoy going out, taking photos, and you could make a night out of it. You can go get dinner or something like that. But either way, making friends is definitely really important because then you can kind of bounce ideas off them. You guys can kind of give each other pointers when you're taking photos. Maybe there's things that you can learn from someone else's style, and that's something else I'll get into in another video later. But the having someone to go out and shoot with is definitely important. It keeps you motivated, at least for me, it keeps me motivated. And this is it's something I've kind of had issues with in my area. I don't know if it's everywhere, but a lot of people that are doing photography that maybe want to do it as a business or you know, just they want to, in general, a lot of them seem to want to keep it quiet, keep a lot of things themselves. Like a lot of the things they've learned, they feel like they are owed some sort of financial backing for it, but that's just been some of the experiences I've had. Now don't get me wrong, there's been some really great people that I've talked to and actually became good friends with that do photography. Some of them get burnt out. I did for a while, and I think it's just like the creative flow that you kind of lose after a little while. But yeah, anyway, so getting off into a tangent on that one. Basically, make friends that do it and go out and make it a point to do it with them. 3 is going to be shoot on manual mode and shoot your images in RAW. So I'll start out with the manual mode part. It's very short, so it helps you understand how exposure works, what your ISO means, and what your shutter speed means, like how it affects the camera's exposure and how it affects your image, and when to use certain shutter speeds, like, you know, faster shutter speeds for obviously fast movement, slower ones for, you know, lower light situations or something that's like more of a portrait. So then you also have your f-stop, which is your focal length. So let's say you're an f1.8, you're gonna have a short amount, like let's say like that amount of focus length. So from your, like, someone's nose to their ear may be in focus or maybe not all the way. And then if you go to like f22, here and, you know, forever back would be in focus. However, for closer up it would obviously be out of focus. So that's just a couple things on shooting manual that are important. I guess I can go into those later in another video. There's obviously more things that are to that, but that's a basic overview. And then shooting on RAW, or shooting raw images, is really important because you can manipulate them better, you can change the colors, the exposure actually makes a difference rather than JPEGs where it just kind of lightens and darkens the image. They're more pliable, so things that are something you want to change is definitely more possible. Plus you have a lot more information to work with. So number 4 is learn composition. Understanding the rule of thirds, you know, like in this area and then across there, and there's like little cross lines that's where you want to put your subject or your other matter. There's also the golden spiral, which I haven't really fully looked into too much on, so I guess I should do a video on that once I learn a little more, give a better idea of it. Or you can find some on YouTube somewhere else. There might be some, you know, good explanations for it already if that's something you're trying to look into right now. So basically, for rule of thirds, it's fairly straightforward. Point of interest on the crosses on either of the areas. That, and also when not to have the composition. You don't necessarily have to go by the rules. I mean, what are they for? This is an art form. It's not just, oh, well, we have to do it this way because this is the way they say you have to do it, and rule of thirds and golden spiral and stuff like that. Not always the case. Always there's people that are like, you know, if something's off or a little bit off center. Some people have issues with that. I might even pull, if I can find it, I'll find the photo that I took that I thought was pretty good. And this guy that said he was a director of photography was like, well, you didn't even put the subject in the center. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not exactly how I wanted that image to come out. There was a specific way I wanted that image to come out. So that's one thing to consider. It's I guess composition really is kind of a pliable thing as well. Like with most art forms, you don't necessarily have to go with that specific thing. So I would say composition is important. Rule of thirds is probably a good way to start out, but obviously branch out, try your own thing. This is an art form. You get what you want and you do whatever you want with it. Number 5, just because I'm gonna make it a 5 list today, find your inspiration. Camera stopped and then I started talking for like 5 minutes and realized it wasn't recording. So wherever it last stopped off at. Basically, what I'm saying is find your inspiration, but don't compare yourself to them. If you found somebody like Peter McKinnon or Chris Howe or those other larger YouTubers that I just kind of compared myself to, thinking my photography should be as good as theirs because I've been doing this for, you know, 5-6 years, I should be able to understand what they're doing. But I haven't been doing it as a full-time job. So that's where I should really draw the line on that. So basically, how my story went with this is that I saw this person that was really great. I thought I should be there. It brought me down. But now I'm just finding inspiration in it, where, you know, I used to feel bad about myself not being as good as them. So that's where the tips really end on this one for me. The last part of this is basically just a shout out to the people on Instagram that have followed me and kind of given me a little extra push and made me feel like, I guess it kind of feel like I validated myself in some way. It sounds dumb, but I mean, let's be honest, some of us want to hear good things about our photos, and I really want to give a big thank you to 21 Mashed Potatoes on Instagram. I'll throw your tag up here. She just started doing photos, Creature of the Sun. I'll put their tags, and actually I'll put them down in the description, and especially Ruby Rod Zombie, dude. I won't give out your name because I know you don't have it on there, but I will say that you are probably one of the top people that has kept me going and has made me want to stay doing this. You're my local buddy. I go out and do photos with you, and this has been a good time for me, and I've really enjoyed every minute of it. I couldn't ask for someone better to go out and shoot with and feel more motivated by. So I really want to thank you, and really hope this reaches somebody and it really helps you out in some way. I know that there have been times where it's been hard thinking of things to do and thinking of why I'd be happy. It'd be my dream. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I went through my little list here and the camera kind of crapped out a couple times. Hope you all have a great day, and I will see you next time. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, because comments are what keep me going, and I love those. Bye.